I first came to Leopoldskron because my wife was taking part in a seminar here about biography. And I came as her arm candy, her decorative accompaniment. And while we were here, she read me a bit out of the brochure that the seminar put together about the history of Leopoldskron. And I discovered for the first time it had belonged to someone who worked in the theatre, Max Reinhardt. And I was very astonished by this because theatre is a very uncertain profession. People often fail to make any living at all out of it. And that someone who worked in the theatre had done well enough to own this enormous palace, I found very encouraging. And I thought he must be a remarkable man. Didn't know very much about him, so I went out and began to do some research and discovered just how remarkable he was. Not just because he did well in the theatre, he was a most astonishing innovator. And he also made a huge success of running this house, Leopoldskron. Took it over when it was in a very ruined state, devoted his money, his considerable resources, and all his love and passion to restoring it. I was so taken by what I discovered about Max Reinhardt that I thought I might write a play because I was very struck by the parallel between Reinhardt and the play for which he became most famous, Jedermann, Everyman, that he did over and over again at the Salzburg Festival, which is about the fate of a wealthy man. And there are many, many parallels between the life of Jedermann and the life of Reinhardt. There are also many differences. And other people must have noticed this before, and I would have thought Reinhardt must have noticed it himself, but as far as I can see in his published writings, there's nothing about this. Nothing about what he felt, about what he saw of himself in Jedermann. So I thought I would write something about that. The play was originally done at the National Theatre in London, and the very first German language production is going to be here in Salzburg. And of course it's a great honor to have the play done in the city that's so associated with Reinhardt. And a great personal pleasure and honor for me to be staying in the house where Reinhardt himself lived, that he had done so much for. I would have thought, Reinhardt was a theatre man, and I would have thought that he would have seen that the use that's being made of the house now is very much a projection of the use he made of it himself in his lifetime. His original intention for the house was that it should become not just a residence for himself, although that was part of what he wanted, but a centre where everyone who worked in the arts, actors, writers, directors, and so forth, would come together. And to some extent, his ambitions were realized. To some extent not, because of course he had to use the house to a considerable extent for raising money, as what people always have to do to keep the festival going. And I think he would have seen the use that's being made by the Salzburg Seminar of the house as a projection of his original intentions for the house.